Ooh, good afternoon. Today we're talking about one of the biggest questions I get all the time is how and or when did I know I wanted to be an entrepreneur? Yeah. So there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of you out there that are entrepreneurs. Some of you went into the career, had jobs, went into the career and found a product or service that needed to happen, decided to start your own company. Some of you went and just got tired of the corporate life, whatever it is. For me, what was the appeal of being an entrepreneur? So I knew I would be an entrepreneur basically as far back as I can remember. Um, I remember I never was like, I want to be a firefighter when I grow up. I want to be a president. I never wanted that. I always said that I wanted to be a business owner. And I remember around probably 13 or 14, what is that, middle school? Um, I remember talking to my parents and what do you want to do after high school or something? I was like, own business. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to own a business. They're like, yeah, okay, ha ha ha. And so my dad actually was an entrepreneur. They had some rental properties at one point in their life, and he owned a film studio at one point of his life. But he never it was never like how he defined himself. He never, I don't even know if he ever said he was an entrepreneur. I think he just said, "Oh yeah, we used to own this. We used to own a film, an art studio, film studio back in the day when you had to like dip it and dark rooms and stuff like that." But he never was like, "Oh, I was an entrepreneur." He always said, I owned a film studio." And so, and it was never like pushed onto us. Definitely not pushed onto us. It was actually probably more anti-pushed onto us. Um, we were definitely built up and taught, you work hard, get good grades. Good grades were required. I think at one point in our life we would get paid. If we got like an A plus, it was like $10 or something. This was like middle school, maybe high school. You get a larger allowance or something. B's would be $5. C's you'd have to like pay back. So we were not allowed to get C's. I think B minuses you would have to pay back as well. Why is New Zealand calling me? That'll be a fun call to figure out. And so grades were always important. Get good grades, go to a great school, and get a great job. That was what we were always taught. And so actually, oddly enough, all three of us basically ended up being entrepreneurs. So my oldest brother, I think he ended up failing out of high school. Maybe he completed high school, but just barely. He had terrible grades. I think like his junior year, he kind of went off and stop caring. Super smart. All three of us have great test scores, this and that. Um, all of us were forced to be smart. And I think his junior year, he kind of went off. I was young, so I'm like 7 years younger, so I don't exactly know what happened, but I remember him getting yelled at and grounded. And when he was like maybe 18, I think he moved out. I don't really know what he did. Moved in with friends or something. Um, and then I think he went to like a semester of a community college and then failed out of that or dropped out of that. I don't know. Um, Super smart. Went to the IB program for as long as he lasted, and then I don't think he's gone to college since. And so he started a window cleaning company. I feel like there's something else after that in between, and then he helped start the cannabis company that we now have, that I now have. He has since been bought out. Um, there's something, I think he started something in between, or maybe his cleaning company. He did like Christmas decorations. So, anyways, bottom line is he did have a lot of jobs. I remember he was in debt collection for a while, um, but he had the entrepreneur spirit there. I guess that was the whole point of the whole thing. Middle brother, also super smart. Got really great grades. Went to college. We actually, him and I went to the same college. It's like a little tiny private liberal arts school in southern Colorado, or I guess central Colorado, but south of Denver. And he ended up going to law school, got great grades there, got the passed the bar, and now teaches law. And so technically, I guess he has his own law firm, so he's an entrepreneur. And then me, I never wanted to go to college. And I kept telling my parents that I said, I'm going to be a business owner. And they kept saying, what kind of business? What kind of business? And I said, I don't know yet. That's why I don't have one yet. I don't know yet. That's why I don't have one yet. But I remember when I was young, probably like seventh grade, I got suspended from school for selling the old candy bars. And that was all my dad's fault. Um, Back in the day, they used to print off coupons for groceries in the newspaper, which was a thing back then. And I remember one day he circled like candy bars. They were four for a dollar. He's like, "That's such a great deal, honey. We should get these." You know, we didn't eat many candy bars. He was a chocolate monster, though. He loved that. And so then I decided to go shop with my mom that day, and I bought them, brought them to school, and sold them for like a dollar each. And I did that for a month or two until I got too big and was selling lots of candy bars, and it interrupted classes, and teachers were very angry. And then I got suspended. And then from there, I did the old poop scoop. I did lawn mowing, snow shoveling, all that kind of stuff that you normally do. And then my first real big company that made a lot was during my senior year of college. So it's probably good that I always say that college is just as much the experience as the education, which nowadays, you can get that kind of education virtually anywhere. I mean, there's probably like entire Harvard classes on recorded on camera you can go find. And so the education obviously was great. Um, I like to say that I would not have gone to college if it was my own choice. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'd be better off. Maybe not. And a lot of times, so I built a lot of businesses, and essentially, I always say that college set me back 4 years. If I had started my businesses 4 years sooner, I'd be 4 years earlier to where I was. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. But I definitely don't really talk to many people I went to college with. Have a couple really good friends I still talk to, but like maybe like five. Everyone else, I don't even know where they are. If you went to CC with me, holla, let me know where you at. So yeah. And so when I got my diploma, I literally gave it to my mother like within 20 minutes, and I have never seen it since. And I know that a lot of entrepreneurs say that as a joke. 100% true. I have, it's got to be in like her lockbox or something. That was like 15 years ago. I've never seen it. Don't even remember what it looks like. Um, it's like I'm about to get rained on. That's interesting because it never thunders down here. That's one thing that's kind of cool. We get a lot of rain, but it almost never thunders. So, anyways, back to being an entrepreneur. So a lot of times I just said I don't know what kind. I just know I want to. I think the appeal of it was that I didn't like taking orders. I was the third child, the baby, and so I think I was a little rebellious and independent. I was definitely independent. When I would get babysat at like 8 or 9, my parents would just be like, "He's independent. You can pretty much just watch TV. Just make sure he doesn't die." That was basically the gist of their babysitting rules. Make sure there's food available, and he'll just run around and do his own thing. Um, and so I think that was the appeal of it, being able to be independent, make your own decisions, and not have a boss. And to this day, I've never had a job. I've been an independent contractor twice. I was a referee for soccer, and you choose your own hours. Obviously, there's skills and licenses you have to get, and I did that probably till I was like 20. Yeah. So that kind of paid for my childhood. And then I had an independent contractor job selling wieners and balls. I was doing samples, and you get paid commission for all the wieners and balls you would sell for Adele's sausage company. And I would sell out virtually every time I was there. So they'd always have to make sure they ordered more if they knew I was coming into the store. And so I knew all the Safeway managers and Walmarts, and Costco's were our big one. We'd go in for like 3 or 4 days at Costco and just sling sausage, man. It was a great company to work for. When I first applied, they wanted to pay me like 12.50, which is probably the equivalent to like 20, 25 now, maybe. Um, and I told them I didn't want an hourly. I just wanted a sales bonus. And her name was Karen, was the one that ran the sales, like I think it was all the metro area or all Color Springs. I don't remember. No, I think she did the whole Front Range. And so she was like, "Oh, that's interesting. You just want to work commission and you don't want to get paid hourly?" I was like, "Nah, hourly is a waste of my time. I'll make way more in commission." She's like, you're a 17/18-year-old idiot, but I'll run it by the boss." And then they asked the boss, and the boss was like, "Sure, if he wants to just make commission." I think I was making like 12% commission. I don't remember what it was. And so then I started working commission, and um, she taught me what she knew, and then after that, I added a little what I knew, and at some point, we were like the number three sales team in the nation, and they were just whoosh, they loved it. But obviously, when I graduated college, I stopped. Actually, I think I did like maybe a year after that because I moved to Denver, and I got the girl I was seeing at the time a job there, and my buddy Tavis. And I remember the three of us would just crush some Costco's. Oh God, I love tangents. Oh, that was a big lightning. You don't see lightning here either. This is exciting. It's a real thunderstorm. It's a real thunderstorm. This never happens. It's always just rain. Like we don't get thunder like in Colorado. Colorado, everything has thunder and lightning. It's pretty crazy. Um, but anyways, that's the story of me, how I decided. I didn't really decide. I just always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was real young, like 8 to 12 years old, me and my best friends had a game literally called the Money Game. And I was, I guess, technically the mayor, but we would use like Hot Wheel cars and fake money. And we just built our own world. Every time we played, it'd be different. If we had new Hot Wheel cars that our parents like let us buy, then we incorporated them somehow. If we bought like a cement truck, someone would start being the construction, and we just randomly would want things constructed, and just 100% imagination. Super fun, but very entrepreneurial. And so I've always just wanted to not work for anyone else, and so at this point, I never have. Um, it's been great. And so now a lot of my lifestyle is how I want everyone else to. I don't think you should be tied to a job 40 hours a week. I think you should be able to figure out how to be financially free and make money doing all sorts of different things, however you want. I mean, I just went live a couple days ago about how I flew over to Puerto Rico, hung out all day, bought Krispy Kreme donuts, 20 dozen of them, brought them back, and sold them, and that paid for everything. So that's a cool way I like to do make money, and I like to show people how it can be done like that. So if you're interested in any of that, I'm right here. Feel free to ask. And I hope today was the best day of your life. Until